All right, who hasn't looked up at a jet, or watched a rocket launch and thought, man, I wish I'd built that?
It really gets you going, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And today, we're diving deep into the world of the people who take those dreams and turn them into reality. But on paper, we're talking about aerospace engineering drafters.
A career path that's both incredibly technical and, well, I'd even say kind of romantic. Taking these big, huge ideas from aerospace engineers and turning them into incredibly detailed plans. That's what makes things fly.
It's the bridge between imagination and, actual flight. And for this deep dive, we're turning to RoleCatcher, this really cool platform that's all about, helping people navigate their career paths. So, is aerospace engineering drafting the right trajectory for you? Let's find out.
I think one of the best things RoleCatcher does is really separate, the myth from the reality of these careers. So let's get down to it. What's it actually like day to day to be an aerospace engineering drafter?
Yeah, spill the beans. It can't be all wind tunnels and like launch pads, right? What's the real deal?
I wish. Honestly, it's more about precision more than anything. Imagine you've got an engineer's concept for, let's say, a new wing design. You're translating that vision into these hyper-detailed technical drawings. That's what tells the manufacturing team exactly what to build.
So every little thing matters.
Every dimension, every single bolt hole, it all has to be perfect.
Wow, it's like the difference between, just doodling a plane on a napkin and having the official blueprints, the real deal.
Exactly, 100%. And listen, with technology always changing, computer-aided design software, that's the name of the game here, AutoCAD, SolidWorks. If you want to make it in this field, you got to know these programs like the back of your hand.
Yeah, makes sense. Got to speak the language of computers these days. But what about where you're actually working? Is it all hangars and factories and stuff?
It's easy to get caught up in that image, right?
What?
But honestly, most aerospace engineering drafters are spending their time in offices.
Oh, okay. So it's not as glamorous as it sounds.
Well, that being said, depending on the company and your role, you might get to travel to production facilities, maybe even work with teams around the world.
Oh, okay. So a little bit of the best of both worlds. You got your focused work, but there's a chance you might actually get to see your designs come to life.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And speaking of the real world, RoleCatcher, they emphasized how important collaboration is in this field. You're always working with engineers, with production teams, being able to communicate clearly. It's just as important as those technical skills.
Makes sense. A design's no good if you can't explain what makes it work, right?
Exactly.
But RoleCatcher also mentioned, some really promising industry trends, didn't they? Anything, really jump out at you?
Absolutely. The whole aerospace industry, especially on the commercial side, and then you've got the whole space exploration thing blowing up right now. It's projected to grow like crazy. RoleCatcher mentioned something like a 15% increase in drafting jobs in the next decade.
Whoa, 15%. That's huge.
That's massive.
Talk about a career taking off, right?
No pun intended.
All right, so say you're totally hooked on this whole aerospace engineering drafting thing. Where do you even start? What does that career ladder actually look like? So you've got your sights set on the aerospace industry. You're ready to climb that career ladder, but what are those first few rungs going to feel like?
Well, RoleCatcher, they break it down into three main stages. You've got your entry level, then you move up to junior drafter, and then finally you reach the peak, senior drafter.
So each stage, you're gaining more experience, more responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. That's like that classic video game progression. But instead of getting those experience points for slaying monsters, you're racking them up by designing incredible aircraft.
That's way cooler.
Right. So at that entry level, you're really just learning the ropes. You're assisting those more experienced drafters, and you're getting a feel for how those, technical drawings actually translate into real world applications.
So it's like a hands-on apprenticeship, but you're dealing with the blueprints of aerospace design.
And you're getting to grips with that CAD software, making sure those drawings are accurate, detailed. That's the foundation right there.
Yeah, got to start somewhere. Soak up all that knowledge from the pros. Then you move on up to junior drafter. What's that like?
So that's where you start to flex your own muscles a little bit. You're collaborating directly with engineers. You might even take the lead on some smaller projects.
Okay, so that's a pretty big step up.
Yeah, you're taking those skills that you developed at the entry level, and now you're really seeing how your work contributes to the bigger picture.
And then we've got the peak of Mount Aerospace drafting, senior drafter.
You made it. Now you're the mentor. You're guiding teams, overseeing entire projects. You're the go-to expert for, well, Pretty much everything related to aerospace engineering drafting.
Okay, so that sounds like you've really made it. But even with a clear career path laid out, I mean, there's got to be some bumps in the road, right?
Yeah.
What are some challenges that someone might encounter?
Oh, I think the biggest one is simple. Competition.
Yeah, makes sense.
This industry, it attracts some of the most talented people out there, so standing out, that could be tough.
So it's not enough to just be like technically good at what you do.
Right, you need that something extra.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole continuous learning thing comes in. RoleCatcher, they really stressed how important this is. Whether it's advanced degrees or specialized certifications, you got to show that you're committed to always learning and growing.
They actually mentioned a few specific ones, like there's the Certified SolidWorks Professional, the CSWP,
Right?
and the Certified Aerospace Technician, or CET.
Exactly, things like that. Having those credentials on your resume, especially in this job market, it makes a huge difference.
It shows you're serious.
It does. But beyond all that, you need genuine passion,
Mm.
a love for aerospace engineering. That's what really sets people apart.
Yeah, it's that difference between, someone who just sees a job and someone who sees an opportunity to do something really cool, something that matters.
Yeah.
And speaking of cool and important, you remember those unmanned air systems RoleCatcher mentioned?
Oh, yeah. The drones, the UAVs, that whole world is just exploding right now. It's like a whole new frontier for aerospace engineering drafters.
Yeah, because designing those systems, that takes a whole different set of skills, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're dealing with aerodynamics, sensor integration, autonomous flight capabilities. It's wild.
And it all starts with those initial technical drawings, right?
Exactly.
That's so cool. But for now, let's bring it back down to earth for a sec and talk about a really important step in this career journey, the interview process.
Of course. I mean, even if you've got all the right skills, the passion, acing that interview, that's often what it comes down to.
And that's where I think RoleCatcher's unique feature really comes in handy. They actually analyze specific job descriptions and they give you these tailored interview questions based on, the skills and experience they're looking for.
It's brilliant, actually. Gives you such an edge when you're preparing.
So let's pretend we're in the hot seat. You're facing a panel of interviewers and they hit you with this. Can you describe your experience in creating technical drawings and schematics? Now, obviously, the answers can be different for everyone, but what are they really looking for here?
I think it boils down to this. Can you take really complex information and turn it into something clear, concise, and visually engaging?
Okay, so it's more than just knowing how to use the software.
Way more. You got to show them that you understand those technical drawing standards, those conventions, how to present information in a way that other people in the field are going to understand, that they're going to be able to use.
It's like being a visual storyteller.
Exactly. And that's where understanding those core engineering principles really comes in handy, like tolerances, for example.
Tolerances.
Yeah. So you know how there are acceptable limits for variations in a physical dimension?
Oh, okay.
As a drafter, you can't just draw something. You have to understand how those dimensions are going to affect how the thing's actually made, how well it's going to work in the end.
So it's that deeper understanding that really sets a good drafter apart.
100%. You're not just following instructions, you're anticipating challenges, contributing to real solutions. Okay, ready for another one? Another interview curveball.
Oh, yeah, hit me.
Can you give an example of a challenging project you worked on and how you overcame any obstacles? Now, that sounds like a pretty standard question, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I've heard that one before.
But in the context of aerospace engineering drafting, how do you make your answer stand out?
Okay, so don't just tell them about a project. Use it as a chance to show off those problem-solving skills, that passion for aerospace, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you run into a design constraint that seemed impossible? Did you have to get really creative? Did you hit a technical wall and have to dive deep into some software or, some crazy engineering principle to get over it? Those are the stories they want to hear.
Because it shows you can handle the tough stuff.
And that you're passionate.
Because at the end of the day, it's that passion, that genuine excitement about pushing the boundaries. That's what really fuels innovation.
100%. Now, before we move on, I wanted to touch back on that continuous learning thing for a second.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about certifications and all that, but what about, actually going back to school?
Yeah. Are there specific degrees that are really valuable for aspiring aerospace engineering drafters?
Yeah, are there specific degrees that are really valuable for aspiring aerospace engineering drafters?
So a bachelor's degree isn't always a must-have for those entry-level jobs,
Okay.
but it's becoming more and more valuable in this job market. It's competitive out there.
Right.
An associate's degree in drafting or something related, that's a good foundation.
Yeah.
But a lot of aspiring drafters, they're aiming for that bachelor's in aerospace engineering.
I see. So it's about like going beyond just the technical skills, the actual drafting part. It's about understanding the why behind the designs, that
Mhm.
engineering knowledge. Exactly. It's like having, a secret decoder ring or something.
Okay, I like that.
When you really grasp those aerodynamics,
Mm.
that structural mechanics, the propulsion systems, you can look at those engineering designs on a whole other level.
You're not just copying, you're understanding.
Yeah. And for those who really want to dive deep, a master's degree in aerospace engineering, that opens up even more doors.
Even more specialized.
Oh, yeah. Leadership roles, research opportunities, you name it. You really get to dig into those cutting-edge technologies, the really cool stuff.
So it's about constantly pushing the limits of what we can do in aerospace. And wow, we have covered so much ground in this deep dive. The day-to-day work, those career advancements, even specialized areas like those unmanned air systems.
Yeah.
What's the one big takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
I'd say this. Aerospace engineering drafting, it's for those with a precise mind. Got to be hungry to learn, always pushing those boundaries of flight. If you get fired up about taking these big engineering ideas and turning them into the actual blueprints for aircraft and spacecraft.
Then this could be the path for you.
Exactly.
Taking those childhood dreams of flight and, turning them into a real career.
And don't forget, no matter where you are in your journey, just starting out or, looking for that next step, keep learning. Find those chances to add to your skill set. Explore those advanced technologies. And never, ever stop asking questions.
That's great advice. I've got to say, I learned a lot in this deep dive. Huge thanks to RoleCatcher for all the incredible insights.
It's been a pleasure being here.
And to everyone listening, remember, your career path, it's yours to design. So stay curious, follow those passions, and hey, who knows? Maybe one day we'll be talking about your groundbreaking work in aerospace. Until next time, happy exploring.